Just think of an aspect of your life that dictates or limits your freedom. Government and law enforcement, insurance and pharmaceutical companies, taxes, building permits, driver's license, all of that. There are hundreds and thousands of stipulations, regulations, and boundaries on our freedom. Now, the ones that I just mentioned, how many of them have you researched to find out whether or not they apply to you? Let's look at the forms of law that we currently just rolling with, no questions asked. We just taking the shit. The most common misconception among people is that any rule or regulation that governs them falls up under one category, law. But there are many other forms of law that people abide with without even realizing that they simply don't even apply to them. Another misconception is that a nation's constitution gives us our rights. A constitution don't do nothing but list the rights that we already have. We are born with inalienable rights, rights endowed to us by our creator. They're not given to us, and they cannot be given away. The most a person can do with a right is to choose whether to exercise it or not. Now, maritime admiralty law is what's known as law of the water. It is superseded by civil law, and it only applies to those who willingly contract themselves into it. Now, the definition of admiralty law is a body of private international law governing the relationships between private entities which operate vessels on oceans. Now, let's look at why a form of law that is fashioned to govern corporations, businesses, and vessels has imposed its rule over natural human beings. Now, this is all done through a formal word called magic. A simple perversion of language has made it possible to convince people around the world that these alternative laws apply to them. One of the predominant beliefs in modern culture is that licenses, permits, registrations, and other forms of documentations are required to operate motor vehicles, use the public roads, build structures and establishments, engage in a free enterprise, and much more. Sadly to believe, these are based on little to no investigation, and they false. The belief structure is perpetuated by maritime admiralty law. This form of law was created to govern ships docking in foreign nations for the import or export of products and resources. It deals with banking and merchant affairs, not civil affairs. When a product is taken off a ship and brought into a foreign land, that nation takes custody of the resource and accounts for it with a certificate. That certificate marks the birth date of that product in the custody of the respective nation. Think of it like this. Why is it supposedly required to have a birth certificate in the first place? Now, the Barron's Dictionary of Banking Terms defined a certificate as a paper establishing an ownership claim. So right there, we notice that everyone with a birth certificate is defined as being owned. Now, people will use this as collateral with other nations because the U.S. is bankrupt. On March 9th, 1933, the United States declared bankruptcy. At this point, the U.S. began taking out loans from a private, non-government affiliated corporation called the Federal Reserve. Now, with no money to pay back the loans, the United States began using the citizens as collateral. All birth certificates and marriage certificates are literally just warehouse receipts. Look at the similarities between the two. Both of the documents give a date issued, a serial number, a registration number, or a receipt number, the description of the product, and an authorized informant to notify the appropriate government agency. Now, with all this information just being readily available on the internet, majority of the people are unaware of their involvement with maritime admiralty law. Now, this is also possible through the manipulation of language. Now, this admiralty law changes the meaning of the word person from a natural living person to a corporation. Okay? Driver's license, vehicle registrations, auto insurance, forms, building permits, gun permits, work permits, tax filing, traffic citations, a lot of other forms of documentation that were once believed to be absolutely necessary only apply to persons and corporations. Upon signing of such legal document, you are indirectly waiving your rights under the Constitution and lowering your status to that of a corporation that is created with the same exact name as you. Now, the only way to reconcile your true name from the name of the corporation is to take notice that the corporation has its name in all capital letters. Now, this is known as capitis dimentio maxima. You may take notice that your driver's license, your birth certificate, your social security card, insurance card, and all of that use all capital letters to legally represent the corporation with your name, not you. The corporation is known as an artificial person, whereas you, the human being, are known as a natural person. Now, this deception goes even deeper when it comes to the courts we attend. Now, remember this. Check this out. If you ever been a part of this, when you showing up to the courtroom, you will notice that there are seats for witnesses behind a wooden fence or a barrier. Now, the defendant must cross through this entrance to the other side of that barrier where the plaintiff and the judge sit. Now, this act symbolizes the boarding of a ship. At this time, business can be conducted in maritime admiralty law. The judge, acting as a captain or a banker, is responsible for settling the balance between the two sides. This is why there's always a monetary value involved in a court case. The captain is simply just dealing with banking and merchant disputes. Once the balance is paid, the case is closed. Now, to turn a court case away from admiralty law, whereas your rights are not protected, you must avoid agreeing to represent the artificial person. Now, this is done by saying that you are the natural person. He don't have a first or a last name because those imply corporate title. Now, in a court case, you may state that the court takes judicial notice of your honest oath of office. Every judge must take an oath of office to practice law. You must make it clear to the court and the jury that the judge is acting as a judge, not a banker. Remember that you are a natural human being of the earth, not governed by anything but your own consciousness. Laws are created within a society. The society that created the laws we see being enforced today is called the Law Society. Yet the most beautiful part of this entire deception is the fact that we're not a part of the Law Society. So they laws don't even apply to us. Judges, lawyers, law enforcement, they're all a part of the society. Within that society, they created their own language, and it's deceptively similar to English. They had these little things called statutes, acts, regulations. They all seem like laws, but they really only apply to those within a society. So basically, all the traffic violations, all the minimum age requirements, almost everything except for damage to another person or their property, it doesn't even apply to the natural person. Laws only apply to those within the Law Society. The game being played is an illusion. You can simply choose to open your eyes and reclaim the freedom that you were born with, bound by nothing but the limits of your imagination. But anyway, these are just a few examples of showing you that your rights are being protected. By far, the most important line of defense against this deception is just to be aware of the perversion of the language and be absolutely aware of how you form your beliefs and concepts. Thanks again for checking this out. I just wanted to shoot this video, man. Just give you a little more information. Open your eyes, all three of them. I got a lot of more stuff dropping. Check me out. Thanks again for checking this out. I will see you in the next video. Peace.